Introducing you to people across North Carolina and around the world who put their Catholic faith into action. This is FaithWorks on Catholic 540 AM Divine Mercy Radio. Now, here's your host for FaithWorks, Ellen White.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of FaithWorks on Divine Mercy Radio. Our show highlights individuals through God's grace who put their faith into action daily. Amazing people who have an interesting, sometimes overlooked impact on our Catholic faith. On FaithWorks, we share their stories. I'm your host, Ellen White. My guest today is Joshua Small, a Catholic educator at St. Thomas More Academy here in Raleigh. Mr. Small works closely with students on faith formation and apologetics, and today he'll help us understand what Islam actually teaches, how it differs from Christianity, and why these differences matter deeply for Catholics today. Welcome back to Divine Mercy Radio Studios.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Small.
Thank you.
It's such an honor. I know you were here with Knight's Armor, and
that was a fun show.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little side note here too. One of our son's favorite teachers. So no pressure, but
well, he's a good student. So yeah.
Well, we're grateful for your time here and the time that you spent on researching this topic, because I know it's important to you.
It is, and to give a little background to me
Please.
as well. I graduated from Aquinas College in Nashville, Tennessee, with a major in history. And in particular, when I graduated, I wrote my undergrad thesis on the First Crusade. So this is something that is near and dear to my heart. But it's not simply just the Crusades themselves, but it's also trying to understand other people's faiths and understanding where they come from, so that we can have a better understanding of our own faith.
Yes,
so that's why I really love talking about this. And I'm sure your son talked a lot about it.
Yes.
Because that's when I did the Crusades elective last year.
Yep.
That's what I came out with, was we broke down the faith of Islam so that there was a good understanding of that and why we went on crusade in the first place.
Yeah. So, and I said this to you before we got started with the interview, Mr. Small. I think, I'm sitting here as a student. An older student, and trying to understand this. I've come across a couple of books that I'll mention at the end of the interview that were helpful to me in my own understanding of Islam and people that are raised in the faith and how it impacted them and their actual conversion stories into Catholicism, which is quite an amazing journey. So I want to start with why this particular topic matters for Catholics. We'll get into Islam and define that, and a couple of other subjects as we go along the way for this interview. But why is it important for Catholics to understand Islam as it truly is, rather than through media stereotypes or well-meaning but inaccurate explanations?
Well, I'm going to rely back on my history background here.
Yeah.
As my students have, they probably hear this in their dreams, but I'm always a fan of context.
Yeah.
We have to have a basic understanding of an event in history in which we can then say, okay, here's why this guy made this decision, or this guy went this direction because of these different things that come in from behind. So for us as Catholics, we need to understand the faith of Islam and how it is different from Christianity as a whole.
Okay.
We can separate it from Catholicism later, but it's very much a different faith than what modern media says. There is not this gray area. It is a very black and white thing. It is two different faiths, Christianity and Islam.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got so many questions floating around in my head with that very broad statement.
Yeah.
And I think at the outset, it would be important to define, what Catholicism is. It's the church that Christ founded.
Absolutely.
And then you have...
And his apostles.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then through his apostles, the church continues.
Right.
Okay. So give us a little snapshot of history and how Islam, how Muslims, well, let's define, because I think a lot of people might be confused about the difference between Muslim and Islam and what they both mean.
Sure.
So let's start there.
Okay, so Islam, the word simply means submission, right, in Arabic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay. And that's just the name of the religion, right? That's the religious name. For the people are called Muslims, right? So that's the distinction we can make there.
Yes.
Okay. So I might use it interchangeably, but what I really want to talk about is mainly stick with the ideas of Islam, right?
Yes.
And we'll stick with that. But really, the whole idea is that, Islam is a monotheistic religion, right? It is Abrahamic in origin.
What do you mean by monotheistic, for somebody that's tuning in that has no idea?
Mono meaning one, theistic meaning God.
Okay.
Right. So it's a worship of one God.
Okay.
Right. It is technically an Abrahamic faith. The reason why they make that is because if you recall in Genesis during the story of Abraham, that he has a son with his wife's handmaid Hagar, and from that relationship Ishmael comes. But then once Isaac comes, he is cast away, and so is Hagar as well. And Muslims believe that from Ishmael is where their faith came from.
Okay.
So that's why they make the claim of Abrahamic faith. So you'll often will see people thinking that we worship the same God, which yes, in a way we do, right? But the fundamental understanding of God is different from Christianity and Islam.
Okay. All right. So I have one question, and then we'll move into what it means from a Catholic perspective.
Sure.
So are all people that identify as Muslim, are they Islamic?
Oh, okay. All right. So I think the answer varies.
Okay.
I think it's the same thing even within the Catholic faith.
Okay.
Because there's different people worship in different ways.
Okay.
And some may not be as
different
fervent.
degrees.
Yeah, some may not be as fervent as others.
Okay.
There's that variation when it comes to it. So you see the same thing within Islam. Some are very radical in their beliefs. Some are very much like, this is, Allah is my God, and that's about it.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that, radical. All right. And from a Catholic perspective, what's at stake when we misunderstand Islam? Is there anything?
Well, why don't we start by understanding Islam, and especially the understanding of God in the first place?
Okay.
Because I think that's going to set the groundwork for that question.
Sure.
So you probably have heard people use the word Allah when describing God. Now, again, simply the word Allah is the Arabic word for God.
Okay.
So there's not a distinction there. However, the distinction of who God is radically different than Christianity. Okay. So obviously Christianity, well, at least the true Christianity, believes in a triune God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, three persons in one God.
Right.
Allah, an understanding of Islam, is that Allah is only one, right?
Got it.
He is only the creator. And I actually have a quote from the Quran to kind of elaborate on this point here.
Please, great idea.
From Surah 112, verses 1 through 4, it says, quote, "He is Allah, the one, Allah the eternal. He is not beget, or to give birth, and he was not begotten, given birth to. And there has never been anyone equal to him." Okay. So the clear understanding is that Allah is the creator of the entire world.
Okay.
But it is only him. There is no one else.
So there's no Trinity.
There is no Trinity.
Got it.
Right, which denies Genesis 1, chapter 1, really.
Exactly.
Because,
in the beginning was the Word.
Well,
and the Word.
even John, but even in Genesis,
Right.
at the beginning, when he says, and he breathed over the waters, right? That's a symbol of the Holy Spirit, right?
Okay.
And note that whenever he's speaking in the plural. Let us make man in our image, right? It's naturally a triune relationship. But Islam denies that entirely.
Okay. How does that impact us as Catholics then?
Well,
there's a major difference, of course, with that. But how does that impact us?
Yeah, I think what we have to understand is that they're coming from a basis of their own faith, and their own faith, at least in their own mind, is solid. Just as our faith is solid as well. Now, the misunderstanding though is that he is only one, and that leads later. I want to talk about this a little later, is especially with the word Islam, is that word means submission, right? It's not
It's a totally different approach.
The relationship
in our relationship,
exactly. The relationship is different for the creator and the created, right? We as faithful Christians believe in a familial relationship with our Father.
Great distinction.
Right.
Yes.
And in Islam, it is. My understanding is it seems more like a master type, a master relationship.
Master slave.
Right. Instead of a beloved child of God.
Yes.
Right. Which we all are. And even they are as well. I want to be clear on that.
Okay.
Because God creates everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, from
correct
the Catholic perspective, as opposed
from the Catholic perspective, everyone is created in the image and likeness of God. Doesn't matter who you are. God created you. And in Islam, that relationship is much different. It is a, I will serve at your bidding. I would argue there is, and we can talk about this a little later, there is a difference in free will understanding. It seems more limited in Islam rather than in Christianity. It is based on free will, right? Like we come
Christianity is based on free will, and especially with Islam, the actual word meaning submission.
Right, exactly.
So at its root.
Right.
Wow. Okay. And you might have mentioned this. You're throwing a lot at me, Mr. Small. So I'm trying
my
to kind of go
students
through
can
it.
also say the same thing. They also like my side tangents too.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I've heard about those.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, and you might have said about Muhammad. Say again.
Yes, I haven't mentioned Muhammad
okay.
yet.
So who?
Yeah.
Oh, you were talking about Abraham. Who is Muhammad?
Yeah.
And why can Catholics not accept him as a prophet?
Okay, so Muhammad is the main prophet of Islam. Okay, so if you don't mind, let's just kind of do some history here on him for a minute.
Love it.
Okay, so Muhammad was born around 570 A.D. in the city of Mecca, which is on the southwestern coast of Saudi Arabia. Okay, which is the epicenter of the Islamic faith is Mecca.
Okay.
Yeah, Mecca. Basically, you want to relate it. It's like the Jerusalem for Muslims.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's
kind of
in Saudi Arabia.
It is in southwest Saudi Arabia. It's close to the coast of the Red Sea.
Okay.
And what he sees is that he grows up in a merchant family. His grandfather, he's orphaned as a very young child. He's raised by his grandfather, who's a fairly wealthy merchant in the city of Mecca. And the city of Mecca was known for being a center of polytheistic worship. That's the worship of many gods, by the way. Polytheistic.
As opposed to monotheistic.
Correct.
Got it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass this test.
I'm Dominican in spirituality, and so I'm very, very much about defining terms.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, back.
I'm with you. I love it.
Okay. So Muhammad, growing up in a merchant family, he's selling wares and items and objects for the worship of these polytheistic gods in Mecca specifically.
Okay.
But he also sees a lot of corruption with that because they upcharge a lot of the prices. There's a lot of usurping. There's a lot of swindling. that's going on. And so from a righteous perspective, Muhammad wants to try to correct that.
Oh, okay.
How he does this is by going into isolation, and he goes to Mount Hira, Hira is how that's spelled, Mount Hira, and in a cave, he experiences a vision or a angelic being of some kind, whom later Muslim scholars will attribute to Gabriel, and there's more into that as well, that he gives him basically what Muslims call the final revelation of Allah. And he will begin to spread this new faith that he's found in Mecca, but the Meccan people don't like him because obviously
I remember that part.
They want their money, right? And if they're wanting to get rid of all these polytheistic gods, all that worship's going to go away. It's going to ruin them. So he goes to a city north called Medina, and from there he becomes king of Medina. Okay. Once he becomes king of Medina, he will then go down and attack the city of Mecca around 624 AD. And then from there, Islam will continue its spread throughout Saudi Arabia under the direct rule of Muhammad.
I want to stop you for a second.
Yes.
So as Catholic theologians have pointed out throughout history, what are they saying about this encounter that Muhammad had? Do they believe that it was Gabriel?
No, Catholics don't believe that this is Gabriel.
Okay.
We cannot believe that this is Gabriel. And the main reason why is because in God's ultimate plan for salvation,
right,
salvation's pinnacle is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Right.
And his apostles.
Right.
That's where revelation stops. Right? Revelation, that's the pinnacle of revelation. So anything that comes afterwards is not from God.
Okay. Anything that comes after, go into that. Clear.
Yeah, like if
a lay person's ears.
Sure, if a prophet, like let's say that a person comes in and says, "Oh, I have this, God has spoken directly to me to say that the church is wrong about X, Y, and Z thing. We can't do this anymore." No. The church has been set up by Jesus Christ and has maintained for 2,000 years on the foundation that Jesus Christ laid.
And because Muhammad was taking a stance that with something that was completely different than what the belief system was, that what Christ established in the church and
even there's
tradition.
There's parts of the Islamic faith that we as Christians cannot accept in any way, shape, or form.
Such as what?
A good example is in Surah chapter 2. It's one of the later verses. I forget which one. It says directly that again, now to be clear, when we're talking about the Surah, this is within the holy book of the Quran, which is essentially the Bible for Muslims. Okay. But in Surah chapter 2, it directly says that if someone is persecuting you, you have a right to kill that person. That goes completely against what Jesus Christ's explicit words say, right? And guess what? We just had that at Mass last Sunday, right? That was the Beatitudes.
Exactly.
Right?
The Beatitudes, the attitude.
Exactly. That's right. That's right.
So you mentioned, I want to come back to that.
Yeah, sure.
But you mentioned the Quran, and you said it's basically the Bible for Muslims.
And I will say to make a comment.
How was it revealed to them too?
It's revealed strictly to Muhammad.
Okay.
There is no one else who does this. Now, this is the interesting part that I think we often overlook. Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't read or write.
I did not know that.
So when people say that Muhammad writes this, no, technically he had someone else transcribe it for him. He did not write it. He spoke it, right? But now what's going to happen is when you have someone else writing it.
And if he can't read or write what they've written, then they can, yeah.
Now we could go back to that Gabriel point there for a moment.
Yeah, sure.
This is where we can have understanding that Arab people must have had at least a basic understanding of Judeo-Christian foundations.
Okay.
At least a basic one.
Yeah.
Okay. Unclear whether or not there were faithful Catholics in that area at the time of Muhammad's uprising. But again, it's very clear that there was a author who came in afterwards in which they inserted the idea of Gabriel coming in form, because this is written directly in the Quran.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay.
The Quran says that like Gabriel's the one who reveals this final revelation about Allah to Muhammad.
Right. Okay. And this is about 600 AD.
Yeah. So the revelation.
So it was after that.
Revelation occurs. So he was born in 570. He received the revelation around 40, so it would have been 610 AD.
Wow, this is fascinating. Oh my goodness. All right. If you're just joining us, this is Ellen White with FaithWorks on Divine Mercy Radio. And today I'm joined by Joshua Small, a Catholic educator who is helping us to understand Islam from a Catholic perspective. He's sharing insights into what Muslims believe, how Islamic teaching differs greatly from Christianity, and what Catholics need to know to understand the faith truthfully and faithfully. And we are grateful for our show's sponsor, Thales College. Oh my gosh, we need to have you back, or you need to just have a regular segment on history, because this is so great.
I'm more than happy to do it.
Oh gosh, this is so amazing. Okay, so we've talked about the difference between, Muslim and Islam, because those terms are thrown around so much that it can be kind of confusing. About the Quran, about Muhammad and how he started Islam and became king of Medina and attacked Mecca and got rid of some people there that were causing problems. Please.
I'd love to make a point here, historically speaking. And I show this to my students whenever we're talking about Islam. And I think this is a very, very important distinction we have to make.
Okay.
So if you look at, the founders of the two main world religions, Islam and Christianity, right? We obviously have Christianity as Jesus Christ. Muhammad is the founder of the Islamic faith.
Okay.
Okay. But the two differences, and in particular when we see the spread of the faiths, there's two differences here, right? Christianity spreads through preaching and the witness of martyrs. Like the death of martyrs, and speaking of St. Agatha's feast day.
Yes, exactly.
The witness of martyrs is something that is completely unnatural to our own mindset, right? To a human mindset, when you see someone willing to die for something that doesn't seem to exist in the natural world, right? Especially if you're coming from an atheistic or even pagan society like in Roman times, there's something there. Like, why is this person dying for something that seems to not be real, right? Though it is real.
Yes.
Be clear.
Exactly.
It's very real.
Right.
Now that's a key point there. Okay. But also with Jesus spreading his message is more about the love and relationship we have with the Father, right? Unlike
it's life-giving.
Correct. It is life-giving. Right. And even we can even make go this route too, that both of the founders were kings. Jesus is the King of Kings. Right? And his kingdom is not of this world, however. His kingdom is of the heavenly.
And how did he come into this world?
Exactly.
We're talking about humility.
Yeah.
There are so many different distinctions that you can make between the two.
Let me go ahead. So let me go to Muhammad for a moment. So Muhammad becoming king of Medina, right? He becomes the ruler of a physical realm. Jesus is not the ruler of a physical realm. He is the ruler. Well, he is the ruler of the earth, right? But like, his main throne is in heaven, right? Muhammad's throne is on this earth.
Okay.
So to be clear, that's one big distinction we have to make.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is that Muhammad spreads the faith through conquest, and usually through violent conquest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which is why you often see, especially radical Islamic groups, using violence to attain their goals because of how their founder did it.
Mm-hmm.
He did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did the same thing. He attacked Mecca in 624 in order to cleanse it all of the polytheistic gods and to, put in Allah as the one God to be worshipped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very different.
Yes.
Okay, so let's flip it on its head a little bit and talk about how Islam views Jesus.
Okay.
And their view of Catholicism.
Sure. So, let me say it this way. Throughout the centuries, Catholics and Muslims have always been in opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And the main point is Jesus Christ.
Yeah, okay.
So how do Muslims view Jesus? They don't deny him completely. And let me elaborate on that for a moment. So faithful Muslims believe that Jesus Christ, well, he's not the Christ to them. Jesus is a special prophet
Mm-hmm.
that God sends, but in no way Jesus is divine.
Interesting.
So there's no divinity to Jesus
Okay.
Christ. He is simply a prophet, something similar to Muhammad
Okay.
or any of the previous prophets
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. They don't deny the Abrahamic line in prophets, such as, they see
Right.
Adam as a prophet, they
Right.
see Moses as a prophet,
Mm-hmm.
they see Jeremiah or Isaiah. They recognize those prophets in the Islamic world.
Mm-hmm.
However, the distinction is that they put Muhammad at the top and even above Jesus. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me pull this for you. I got this from what's called the Muslim Unity Center, which is a non-for-profit trying to spread the faith of Islam in America. And here's what they say about Jesus. They say, quote, "He was not conceived in the usual way, but was implanted in the womb of a young woman named Mary. Almighty God, or Allah, simply commanded, 'Be,' and he was. In this sense, he was a word of Allah and a special sign for humanity. In fact, he was the last of a long line of religious guides sent to the Jews." So again, to put that in there, they don't even deny they don't deny the Annunciation, right? It's just God basically just chose to, impregnate Mary
Mm-hmm.
and give them the human version of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that denies entirely
His divinity.
Well, the Council of Nicaea in 325, which clearly states that Jesus is both fully God and fully man. So why we say this at the Nicene Creed every Sunday, that he is both fully God and fully man.
You brought up something about this organization that's spreading the faith in America. And I feel like we're at a point now in our country where there are so many young adults, students that are not familiar with their history at all. And they might not have been raised in a Christian home, which is very possible.
Yeah.
And if they are intentional about putting this information out there, I mean, I saw something on the news just last week or so where there was a student that was showing flyers about the Islamic faith and he was excited about learning more about it. So I think it's really incumbent upon us as adults to know and educate ourselves. It's part of the reason why I'm having you on, so that we can talk about this.
I think to that point, though, I think this is kind of a trend, and I'm a millennial, so I'm still a young guy.
You are,
But I think there is a trend in America where it's moving, like the young people are realizing that, when we threw off all the traditions and all of the stuff in the mid 60s, 70s, 80s or so, right? They're like, I have nothing to stand on. I have no footing to get a good understanding as to who I am as a person.
Right.
So faith usually steps in. Faith steps in. And that's why you're seeing a lot of, young Catholics going more traditional when it comes to the Catholic faith.
Right.
Okay, but that also turns the same way with Islam. Islam is also getting a lot because they have, at least on the surface, a similar faith to Christianity, right? Because again, on the surface, but when you actually look at it, it's very much different.
I know that your circles are more consumed with Catholicism because of your young family.
Well, I'm steeped in it,
and where you work. But are you encountering people outside of this community, Mr. Small, that are doing that are searching and they're going to alternative faiths?
I haven't encountered like a lot of, because I have a lot of good Catholic friends that we usually stick with.
Yeah.
But I think even in my interactions with students at STMA, because there are some non-Catholics who go there, they're also searching.
Yes. Right.
Like they see the cultural milieu or lack thereof of culture. Right. And they're like, I want to find something and I can put my feet on. And some of them do convert to Catholicism, some of the students, right? Some may not be, but they at least have a foundation that they can work upon that is founded on truth.
Wow. Okay, so we went off just a little bit, a little tangent there.
My famous side.
I think I started it, so
no,
you're
fine.
good.
Totally fine.
We know that Jesus Christ is the central divide here.
Yes.
And we've got just a few minutes left, and I really want to hone in on some things that we might not have touched on. So why don't we get into some deep some specifics as far as our understanding goes. We can talk about a couple of the myths, and then we'll finish off with just a closing. And I think we need to have you back so that we can talk more about this because
more than
we've
happy to do it.
Scratch the surface.
Yes.
Okay.
There's plenty to dive into.
Thank you so much, Mr. Small. Okay, so we know that there has been ill treatment on the part of Islam towards Christianity and the church. Moving forward as Catholics, how can we approach this today in our own culture and go forward?
Well, I think one aspect we have to make sure people understand is that Christianity and Islam are different religions. Yes, they do have at least a claim to the same God, but they are ultimately different faiths. And we have to keep that in that understanding to be like, well, no, I can't follow what Islam says as a faithful Catholic, right? And my prayer is that faithful Muslims will join the Catholic faith, right? Because it is the true faith that God has truly established, and to not lead them astray.
Okay, so what should Catholic parents know before their children encounter Islam in school or in the media? What do you think, especially as a teacher? This is a good question.
Me personally, I'm always a fan of getting ahead of the ball game. Right. Trying to get in front of them, because especially if you have children or grandchildren in public schools, they are going to phrase Islam in a way such that it is similar to Christianity. And it's not. It's very much not the same faith, right? We have to be clear on that. And if you are, if the listeners here are faithful Catholics, right? We need to teach our children that Jesus Christ is the one who died for your sins, and there is no one else who can do that for you. Islam may make the claim that you'll have the true faith brought to them, but the one thing that we can put our feet on, and our foundation is built on Jesus' crucifixion, death, and resurrection from the dead. There is no other faith in the world that makes the claim and has the historical foundation to say that that their founder died and rose from the dead and ascended into heaven. There's no other faith that has that. Mm-hmm. So if you are a parent or a grandparent, teach your kids the faith. Give them that foundation. Take them to church. Pray the rosary. Pray all the time, right? Pray unceasingly, mm-hmm. right? As Scripture says. But let them know that the foundation of their faith is on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. If it's not founded on that, we don't have a faith. Everything revolves around the resurrection. Mm-hmm. Our devotions, everything. It's on Jesus mm-hmm. Christ's resurrection.
Mm-hmm. And get to know the saints too. I mean, we talked about St. Agatha
yes.
and the importance of understanding martyrdom.
Yes.
And what's the point, right?
Yeah. To die for the faith.
Right. The blood of the martyrs.
Yeah.
Is the seed of the faith.
That's right.
That's right. Okay. So what is the single most important thing Catholics need to understand about Islam today? What do you think, Mr. Small?
I think we've kind of touched on this quite a bit, mm-hmm. but I think it's the point that, and I'll say this twofoldly, that we need to approach Islam in a place of trying to gain understanding, but not to accept it, right? Mm-hmm. You can have knowledge of things perfectly mm-hmm. fine, but it's the fact that you accept it as true. We can't allow that. We shouldn't allow that to happen as faithful Catholics, right? But the other part too, again, this is my nuanced answer here. What if you encounter a faithful Muslim, right? Just as Jesus taught us, we treat that person with love. This is not a place, and I tell this to my students too, when you learn and understand Islam, it is not a place to cause division, right? Christ and his church is all about unity. Desire them to come back to the church, mm-hmm. because this is where you're going to find the real Allah, right? You're going to find the real Allah here, the real God, the one who loves you and the one who died for you.
All about unity. I love that, Mr. Small. Great point. How should this knowledge strengthen and not weaken? I mean, it's almost obvious, the Catholic faith.
Well, the Catechism is a great place to start, right? You can, feel free. There, you can actually look online. You can look up a full version of the Quran and feel free to read it. Mm-hmm. But when you're reading it, know that you have the Catechism right there to back you up with your own faith.
That is a great point. So have that with you.
Exactly. So take it and say, all right, so they say this about Jesus. What does the Catholic Church say about Jesus? And again, my Dominican heart here, mm-hmm. right? The Dominicans are all about the search for truth. And God is ultimately he's the ultimate truth, mm-hmm. right? He is the pinnacle of truth.
And he's not going to lead you astray.
He will never lead you astray. Mm-hmm. I've had so many times where I've been like, all right, God, I need you to do this. Like, it's really scary, like right before Hannah and I got married, my wife, I didn't have a job. And I got a job the day before we got married. Like we were driving to go set up the rehearsal or the reception hall, mm-hmm. and the principal called me back and said, "Hey, you got a job." I'm like, gosh. So God's never going to lead you astray.
And praying for clarity too. If there's something that you're encountering that you're not understanding or wanting to know more about, he will provide that.
Yes, and I have some great resources.
Okay,
as well.
I was just going to say, if we have people that want to seek clarity.
Yes. So if you're looking for more clarity, if you're a fan of podcasts, one of my favorites is Pints with Aquinas with Matt Fradd.
Oh, it's so good.
He has two of them. One by Dr. David Wood. Okay. He's actually a Christian who is he's an apologetics with Islam to try and debate Islam. Okay. Really. And then another one is in that same Pints with Aquinas is Ridvan Admir. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. He is actually a Muslim convert to Christianity, and he has a YouTube channel called the Apostate Prophet. Ooh. Apostate Prophet. So he has a lot of good content as well. If you're looking for simply a book, this is actually from my college professor's recommendation, but the book is called 111 Questions on Islam.
I've seen that.
It's by Father Samir Khalil Samir of the Society of Jesus. Mm-hmm. It's through Ignatius Press. It's a good one to look at. If you're also just looking for I kind of have just this random question about Islam, Catholic Answers. Yes. You can't go wrong.
No, Catholic Answers website and their forum is fantastic. You can just type in whatever you want to know. Yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with this or have heard about it yet, Mr. Small, but Father Robert Spitzer has an app now. It's an AI.
Magis AI.
There you go.
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Magis AI. So you can type stuff in there and download the app and type in whatever question you might have, and it will come up for you too. Those are great resources.
And I'm sure Hallow also has one. It's the Magisterium AI. You could also go into there and
Hallow app. Yep. That's another good resource.
That's a good one.
Okay, and there are a couple of books I wanted to recommend too that I've read over the years. The Price to Pay, A Muslim Risks All to Follow Christ by Joseph Fidel. That came out years ago. I think that's an Ignatius Press publication, and it's a powerful autobiography of a young man that converted and how God just worked through his life and placed him in these different encounters with people that were Christians, and it's phenomenal. He gave up everything
that sounds awesome.
to join the church. And from Islam to Christ, one woman's path through the riddles of God. That's a powerful story about a Turkish woman who was raised Muslim and eventually found Christ. And I think she was the one that came to the Ignited by Truth conference a couple of years ago, and I was able to talk to her. Fascinating story. Okay.
All right.
Wow, Mr. Small, this is fantastic. Thank you
for having
so
me.
much for joining us. And this is something that I think you might have a future in radio. Okay.
I'm more than happy to come in for a part 2.
Okay.
If you want.
Yes, I would love that. All right. So insights into Islam from a Catholic perspective. And your explanations certainly help us to understand their faith more clearly and our relationship with God and how we need to go deeper too in our own understanding. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
If you missed any part of this episode or want to catch up on past conversations filled with inspiration and hope, you can find them all at divinemercyradio.org. Just click on local shows. And don't forget, you can take FaithWorks with you wherever you go. Just download the free Divine Mercy Radio app from your app store. Simply search Divine Mercy Radio NC, and you're all set to listen anytime, anywhere. Let's keep each other in prayer. God bless.